The morning sun was rising over the small car wash, painting the tin roofs with a dull shine. Mateo wiped the sweat from his brow as he worked, his sleeves rolled up and his hands wet with soap. It was honest work, though people often looked down on him for it. That day, a black SUV rolled in, and a tall man in a sharp suit stepped out. He removed his sunglasses slowly, his eyes landing not on Mateo, but on the woman standing nearby, his wife, Elena. The man smirked and whispered, "She's a beautiful woman, don't you think?" Mateo straightened and narrowed his eyes. "Yes, she's my wife," he said firmly. The suited man chuckled. "I don't know how someone so lovely ended up in a place like this." Mateo tightened his grip on the sponge. "Show some respect." The man ignored him and added, "You know she deserves better than soap and dust." Mateo's jaw tensed. "And how do you know what she wants?" The man leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Let me get close to your wife. Let me show her what life could be like with a man like me." Mateo's voice thundered. "My wife would never betray me. Not for money, not for a suit." The stranger grinned. "How do you know? When she learns there's more to life than scrubbing cars, she might choose differently." Mateo threw down the sponge. "Leave now. I don't make deals with men like you." The man raised his hands as if to calm him. "Relax, amigo. If you're so sure she loves you, prove it. Let's wager. If I discover she's faithful, you'll win a good sum of money. Enough to give her a better life. But if she strays, she stays with me." Mateo stepped forward, fists clenched. "You're insane. Get out before I throw you out." The man smiled coolly. "Think it over." He snapped his fingers, and his driver pulled the SUV away, leaving a cloud of dust. Later, as Elena handed a customer his keys, the same man winked at her. "Thank you, beautiful lady. Why so shy? You should feel flattered." Elena frowned. "I'm a married woman. Excuse me." When Mateo saw her flushed cheeks, his chest tightened. "What did he say to you?" "Nothing," she replied too quickly. "He only said he liked my work." Mateo's eyes searched hers. "Tell me the truth. Do you find that man attractive?" "No. Why would you ask me that?" "Because," Mateo said bitterly, "he has money, and I have only soap and water." Elena touched his arm gently. "Mateo, don't talk like that. I chose you." But he pulled away. "If you had the chance to leave with someone like him, would you?" Her eyes widened. "Let go of me. Why are you acting like this?" Mateo turned, ashamed of his outburst. "Forget it. I'm going back to work." The next morning, the suited man returned. He didn't ask for a wash this time. Instead, he leaned casually against his car and said, "Elena, I've been watching you. You're too valuable to be here." She stiffened. "I'm exactly where I should be." "No," he insisted. "You could have comfort, luxury, freedom. Don't waste your beauty here." "Speak clearly," she demanded. "With me," he said smoothly, "you'd have a life you've only dreamed of." Elena crossed her arms. "I think you've got the wrong woman." The man smirked. "Just one chance. If you don't like it, you walk away with money in your hand. No risk, only gain." "I would never accept something like that," Elena shot back. He pulled out a small velvet box. "Then accept this gift. It's only the beginning." Elena recoiled. "Take it back. Leave before you cause trouble." But he placed it firmly in her palm. "I'll come back for your answer." Later, Mateo saw the jewelry and froze. "Why did you accept this?" "I didn't. He forced it into my hand," Elena pleaded. "But you didn't throw it away." "You hesitated," Mateo accused. "Please don't misinterpret. I would never hurt you. You're my husband." Mateo's voice was sharp. "Then why didn't you tell him to leave?" "Because I didn't want to fight." "Don't twist this." Mateo shook his head. "That man is already in your thoughts." Elena raised her voice. "No, Mateo. He disgusts me. He thinks money can buy everything, but it can't buy me." Mateo sneered. "He already bought you with that jewelry." Tears filled her eyes. "You're wrong." Mateo turned away. "I won't stand here and watch you fall for him." He stormed off, leaving Elena trembling between anger and sorrow. The following afternoon, as Mateo scrubbed the hood of a dusty sedan, an older customer approached him quietly. "You look troubled, son. Is everything all right?" the man asked kindly. Mateo sighed. "It's my marriage. I don't know if it can survive." "Is another man involved?" the customer pressed. Mateo's shoulders slumped. Yes, a wealthy man. He thinks he can buy my wife. The older man nodded slowly. If she doesn't love you, let her go. But remember, true love cannot be purchased. Elena overheard parts of that conversation and walked over quickly. Mateo, stop letting strangers meddle in our problems. Mateo frowned. Then tell me honestly, what did that man offer you? Elena shook her head. He's arrogant. He believes everyone has a price. But I told him no. Mateo searched her eyes. Then why is he still in your mind? Her voice cracked. Because you keep pushing me to defend myself against him instead of trusting me. That evening, Mateo found Elena talking with a woman outside the shop. She was laughing lightly, and for the first time in days, he saw a smile on her face. But when he drew closer, he realized the woman had her hand on his shoulder, and his heart pounded. What was that? Elena demanded when she saw him glaring. What do you mean? Mateo asked. You were hugging that woman. Mateo stammered. It's not what you think. Then explain. Elena snapped. I was only comforting her. She came here upset and drunk. I let her use the bathroom and made sure she got home safe. Elena's face twisted in pain. Now I see why you've been so suspicious of me. It's because of your own guilt. That's not true, Mateo insisted. She means nothing to me. Elena's voice was sharp. If you keep accusing me, I may as well accept that rich man's offer. Mateo's chest tightened. If you want to, then go. The next day, the suited man returned once more, his confidence unshaken. Elena, he said smoothly, have you decided yet? She glared at him. I already told you no. Just one date, he pressed. Nothing more. You won't lose anything. Her hands trembled. Fine, but understand this. I'm not doing this because I want you. I only want to prove a point. He grinned triumphantly. Perfect. 2:00. The park on the corner. When she told Mateo later, his face went pale. You agreed to meet him? Elena raised her chin defiantly. Yes, but only to show him that I'm not for sale. Mateo shook his head in disbelief. You're playing with fire. Elena snapped back. Maybe if you trusted me more, I wouldn't feel the need to prove myself. They turned away from each other, silence heavy between them at exactly 2:00. Elena arrived at the park. The suited man, whose name was Victor, was already waiting with a bouquet of roses. You came, he said warmly. Elena crossed her arms. Don't think this means anything. Victor smiled. No worries. Come, let me show you something. Reluctantly, she followed as he led her to a large house nearby. Its gates opened silently, revealing a sprawling garden and marble floors inside. This, Victor said proudly, could be yours. Elena's eyes widened despite herself. This whole place. Victor nodded. Every corner. If you stay with me, it's yours. Elena stepped back. You think money can buy happiness. It's not about money, Victor argued. It's about freedom. With me, you'll have choices. You won't be stuck washing cars. Her voice shook. And what about love? What about loyalty? Victor smirked. Love fades. Comfort lasts. She looked around at the luxurious house, her heart torn. And what if what I want can't be bought? Victor's eyes softened. Then you'll discover that for yourself. But I'm giving you the chance to find out. Elena turned toward him. What is it you really want from me? His gaze lingered. I want you to realize your worth. And if that leads you to me, then perfect. If not, at least you won't return empty-handed. For a moment, silence filled the grand hall. Elena whispered, the house is beautiful. I will be happy here. Victor smiled confidently. Then it settled. But Elena's expression hardened. No, it feels like a game. You don't love me. You want to win against my husband. Victor's smile faltered. You're mistaken. I'm not, Elena said firmly. I may be tempted by this life, but I'm still a married woman. And I won't betray him. Victor leaned against the marble doorway, refusing to give up. Elena, don't fool yourself. You defend a man who has nothing. With me, you could live as a queen. Her eyes flashed. Don't talk about him like that. He doesn't have your money, but he is honest, hardworking, and loyal. And above all, he loves me. Victor chuckled. You can't live on love alone. She straightened. Maybe not, but I'd rather starve with him than be a prisoner in your golden cage. Victor's expression hardened. Think carefully. Do you want this life? Or do you want to go back to scrubbing tires and wiping windshields? Elena's heart pounded. Give me one day. I'll have my answer tomorrow. Victor smiled slowly. Very well. One day. Don't disappoint me. As she walked out of the house, her hands trembled. Why is this happening to me? Why is my life being torn apart? She whispered to herself. That evening, Mateo paced the car wash, worry carved into his face. When Elena returned, he rushed toward her. Where were you? I went to think, she replied softly. Think or meet with him? Her lips tightened. Why don't you trust me? Because I've seen the way he looks at you, and I've seen you hesitate. Mateo shot back. You don't understand. The mistake isn't his. It's yours for doubting me, she cried. Mateo turned away, his voice low. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe you deserve more than this. Tears filled Elena's eyes. No, you're wrong. I never asked for more. I only ever wanted us. But he shook his head. Then why do I feel like I'm already losing you? She reached for him, but he stepped back. I need to think, he said, leaving her standing in the fading light of the evening. The next morning, Elena met with the woman who had flirted with Mateo days before. Her voice was calm, but sharp. Why did you kiss my husband? The woman looked guilty. Because I was lonely. But listen, your husband pushed me away. He told me he loves you. He never gave in. Elena's breath caught. You're saying he stayed faithful? Yes. Don't let him go, Elena. He's a good man. Don't let one rich stranger ruin your marriage. That evening, Victor arrived once again, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement. Elena, he said with false warmth, I hope you've made the right choice. Mateo stepped forward from behind the shop, his eyes cold. She doesn't owe you an answer. Victor smirked. Why don't you let her speak for herself? Mateo clenched his fists. Because I know my wife. Victor leaned closer to Elena. Do you? Elena stood tall, her voice clear. Yes, he does. And I'll make myself clear too. Victor tilted his head. Go on. You can keep your money, your house, your gifts, your promises. I will never betray my husband. Not for you. Not for anyone. Victor blinked in disbelief. Are you serious? She nodded firmly. Very serious. There are things money cannot buy. Loyalty, respect, love. You don't have them. For the first time, Victor's mask slipped. Anger burned in his eyes. You're throwing away the opportunity of a lifetime. Elena crossed her arms. If betraying my husband is the price, then it's no opportunity. It's a curse. Victor growled. You'll regret this. Mateo stepped beside his wife. No, you will. Because today you've lost Victor, and I won't let you near her again. Victor glared at them, his pride wounded. Everyone has a price. Everyone breaks eventually. Elena's eyes narrowed. Not me. Not him. Leave, Victor, before I give your suit a wash with dirty water. Mateo chuckled softly at her defiance, pride swelling in his chest. Victor spat on the ground and stormed off, his car roaring into the distance. The moment he was gone, Mateo turned to Elena, his voice trembling. Did you mean every word? She smiled through tears. Every word. I will never leave you, Mateo. I love you too much. He dropped his head into his hands. Forgive me, Elena. Forgive me for doubting you. She lifted his face gently. Yes, you're a fool, but you're my fool, and I love you. Mateo wrapped her in his arms, whispering, We'll work hard together. We'll build our life our way. No one will break us. The next day, the car wash buzzed with customers. Word had spread about the dramatic scene between Mateo, Elena, and the wealthy stranger. Curious eyes lingered on them as cars lined up. Mateo worked with renewed determination, scrubbing harder than ever, as though proving something with every stroke. Elena stood nearby, handing keys back to customers, her head held high. Yet beneath her steady expression, her heart still trembled from the encounter in the afternoon. Victor's car appeared once again. The crowd hushed, waiting to see what would happen. He stepped out in his perfect suit, his smile returning as though nothing had been lost. Elena, he said smoothly, surely you've reconsidered. This place isn't fit for a woman like you. Elena's voice cut sharp through the murmurs. Victor, already gave you my answer. He spread his hands. People change their minds. Not me, she replied firmly. Not when it comes to loyalty. Mateo dropped his sponge and stepped closer. I told you to leave my wife alone. Victor smirked. I'm not afraid of you, Mateo. You have nothing. No money. No power. No influence. Mateo's eyes blazed. You're right. I don't have money, but I have something you'll never buy. Respect. The customers began to nod, whispering among themselves. Some even clapped softly. Victor's arrogance cracked. Respect won't pay bills. Respect won't buy her dresses. Respect won't give her the life she deserves. Elena raised her voice, her words echoing across the car wash. The life I deserve is with a man who loves me, not one who wants to own me. Mateo gives me that. You never could. Victor's fists clenched at his sides. You'll regret humiliating me. Mateo stepped in front of Elena protectively. Leave. Now the tension broke when a bucket of soapy water tipped over, splashing against Victor's polished shoes. Gasps filled the air, followed by laughter. Victor glared down at his dripping suit, his face burning red. This is beneath me, he snarled. Mateo raised an eyebrow. So, is chasing another man's wife? Elena smirked faintly. Consider it an express wash, free of charge. The customers burst into laughter, their voices rising like a wave. Victor stormed to his car, his pride in shreds. This isn't over, he spat before slamming the door. Tires screeched as he sped away, leaving only dust behind. Elena leaned against Mateo, exhaling deeply. I can't believe it's finally over. Mateo placed his arm around her shoulders. It is. He won't dare show his face here again. But deep down, he still wondered if Victor's words would echo in Elena's heart. That night, as they sat in their small kitchen, Mateo reached across the table, his voice soft. Elena, I know I doubted you. But today you show me something powerful. You show me your loyalty. Tears shimmered in her eyes. And you show me your strength. We stood together, Mateo. That's what matters. He squeezed her hand. I don't need riches. As long as I have you, I have everything. She whispered back, and I'll never let you forget that. The days turned into weeks, and business at the car wash unexpectedly improved. People admired Mateo and Elena's story of loyalty, and many came just to see them. Customers said, that's the couple who stood up to the rich man. That's true love. Mateo worked harder, his pride no longer burdened by shame. Elena helped with the books and welcomed customers warmly. Together, they turned their little shop into a place of respect. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Mateo pulled Elena aside. I've been saving, he said shyly. He opened a small tin box and revealed a stack of bills. It's not much, but it's enough to start remodeling the car wash. To make it better for us. Elena's eyes lit up. Mateo, this is beautiful. Not the money, but the dream behind it. You never gave up. He smiled. Because you never gave up on me. Hand in hand, they walked through the car wash, imagining what it could become. Elena laughed as she pointed. Here, we'll put new chairs for waiting customers. And there, a proper roof so you won't burn in the sun. Mateo nodded. And maybe a little sign outside that says, loyalty can't be bought. Elena leaned her head against his shoulder. Perfect. That will remind everyone who comes here that love and respect are worth more than any mansion. The following week, as Mateo was fixing a pump at the wash, a familiar engine roared outside. Victor's sleek SUV stopped by the curb. Customers froze, murmurs rippling through the line. Elena's heart skipped a beat. She whispered, not again. Victor stepped out, his face calm this time, not angry. He raised his hands. Relax. I didn't come to fight. I came to talk. Mateo's jaw clenched. We have nothing to say to you. Victor smirked faintly. On the contrary, I realized something important, and I want her to hear it. Elena crossed her arms, her voice steady. Say it then, and make it quick. Victor's eyes softened as he looked at her. I tried to buy you. I thought everyone had a price. But you proved me wrong. You stood firm. And for the first time, I admire someone more than I desire them. Mateo narrowed his eyes suspiciously. Why are you here, really? Victor sighed. To accept defeat. And to say goodbye. The crowd around them murmured again, surprised by his humility. Elena nodded slowly. That's the wisest thing you've said since we met. Victor gave a bitter smile. Perhaps. But understand, Elena, women like you are rare. Men like me, we don't know how to handle women who cannot be bought. Mateo stepped forward protectively. And now you've learned. Leave her alone. Victor looked him in the eye. Take care of her, Mateo. She deserves it. With that, Victor turned and walked back to his SUV. No insults. No threats. Just silence and resignation. The car drove away slowly, leaving behind only a trace of dust. Elena leaned against Mateo's shoulder, her body trembling. It's over, this time for real. Mateo kissed her forehead. Yes, he's gone. But in his heart, Mateo knew their test hadn't been about Victor. It had been about trust, love, and loyalty. That night, they sat outside their small home, the stars glittering above. Mateo held Elena's hand and whispered, "You had every chance to leave me, but you stayed. You proved me wrong when I doubted you." Elena smiled softly. "And you had every chance to stop fighting for me, but you didn't. You proved to me that love isn't about wealth, it's about choice. We chose each other." Mateo's voice broke. "And I'll keep choosing you every single day." The days that followed were filled with peace. Business grew, their reputation shining brighter than any advertisement. Couples came to them for advice, inspired by their story. Elena would laugh, telling women, "Don't be fooled by glitter. It fades, but loyalty never does." Mateo would tell the men, "Protect what you have. Don't let doubt destroy what love has built." Their words carried weight because they had lived them. One afternoon, a young man in ragged clothes came to wash his motorbike. He stared at Mateo and Elena with wide eyes. "Are you really the couple who turned down the rich man's offer?" he asked. Elena chuckled. "Yes, that was us." The boy nodded slowly. "Then maybe there's hope for people like me. Maybe not everything in this world is for sale." Mateo placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember this, son, dignity and loyalty are priceless." At night, when the shop was quiet, Elena sometimes thought back to Victor's mansion. The marble floors, the chandeliers, the endless space. For a moment, she would wonder what life there might have been like. But then she would turn, seeing Mateo asleep beside her, his arm around her waist, and the doubt would vanish. She already had everything she needed. One evening, Elena whispered, "Mateo, do you think we'll ever be rich?" He smiled drowsily. "Maybe, maybe not. But if I wake up every day with you, then I'm richer than any man in a mansion." Her eyes filled with tears. "You always know the right words." He kissed her gently. Because they're true. Together, they dreamed of expanding their car wash, of building a small home with stronger walls, of raising children who would grow up knowing the value of loyalty. Their story became more than just theirs. It became a reminder in their community. People whispered, "Love like theirs can't be bought." And Mateo and Elena, hand in hand, knew that no amount of gold could ever replace the bond they had fought so hard to protect. Months passed, and the car wash blossomed into something more. Mateo and Elena saved every spare coin, investing little by little. A new roof covered the work area, brightly painted chairs lined the waiting space, and a sign above the entrance read boldly, "Loyalty can't be bought." Customers smiled whenever they saw it, knowing exactly what it meant. For Mateo and Elena, it wasn't just a slogan, it was a testimony of their lives. Victor's name still lingered in hushed conversations around the town. People whispered about the wealthy man who had been humiliated by a humble couple. Some said he left the city entirely, too embarrassed to stay. Others claimed he found another woman to chase. But to Mateo and Elena, he was no longer important. What mattered was that they had passed their greatest test together. One late afternoon, as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, Elena leaned against the counter, watching Mateo rinse the final car of the day. "Do you realize," she said softly, "that we turned temptation into strength?" Mateo glanced at her, water dripping from his hands. "No, Elena, you turned temptation into strength. I only followed your courage." She smiled, shaking her head. "We did it together." As their business thrived, They began saving for a small piece of land on the edge of town. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Mateo dreamed of planting fruit trees, while Elena imagined a garden filled with flowers. One day, she whispered, "This will be a place our children will run freely." Mateo kissed her forehead, and they'll grow up knowing what loyalty means. At night, when the streets grew quiet, they often sat on their porch, sipping tea. Elena would rest her head on Mateo's shoulder. "Do you ever regret not being rich?" she asked once. He chuckled. "I'm rich already. I have a wife who loves me, a business that feeds us, and a future that's ours to build. What more could I want?" Her heart swelled. "Then I'll never ask again." News of their story spread beyond their neighborhood. A small local paper published an article titled "The Car Wash Couple Who Couldn't Be Bought." Soon after, strangers began to visit, curious to see the couple who had turned down wealth for love. Mateo laughed at the attention, but Elena saw it differently. "Maybe our story can remind people what really matters," she said. One day, a wealthy businessman visited the car wash. Unlike Victor, his manner was respectful. He observed how Mateo and Elena worked side by side, smiling even through long hours. After watching quietly, he approached Mateo. "I admire you," he said. "Not many men would stand against someone like Victor. If you ever want to expand your business, I'd be honored to invest." Mateo hesitated, then shook his head. "Thank you, but this business is built on loyalty. We'll grow it our way." Elena overheard and smiled proudly. That night, she whispered to Mateo, "See, even the wealthy now admire you." He grinned. "Not me, us. They admire us." She wrapped her arms around him. "Then let's keep showing the world that not everything is for sale." Years later, their car wash had grown into a respected service center. Families brought their cars there not only for cleaning, but to feel part of story. Mateo and Elena grew older, their hair streaked with silver, but their love remained unshaken. Sometimes, young couples would approach Elena shyly and ask, "How did you stay faithful when tempted with so much?" She would smile and reply, "Because true love is richer than gold." On a quiet evening, long after the last car had been washed and the sun had set, Mateo and Elena sat hand in hand under the glowing sign. The world around them might chase wealth, status, and glitter, but they knew the truth. Their love had been tested, and it had endured. With a soft smile, Elena whispered, "Loyalty really can't be bought." Mateo kissed her hand and replied, "And that's why we've already won."